Last season, it was the tightest title race in all of European club football, the Turkish Super Lig. Hopefully, we get that same drama this upcoming season. Welcome to the Turkish Super Lig preview show. I'm George D. Metellus alongside Thomas Rongen and Gary Bailey. Here's what we have for you coming up as we have the intro for what is going on today in the Super League. Of course, Galatasaray, they are the champions and into the group stage of the Champions League. Meanwhile, Fenerbahce, who finished second in the league last season, have a third qualifying round encounter against Benfica. All right, Thomas, last season, Beşiktaş made a deep run. They got to the knockout stage of the Champions League before going out to Bayern Munich. Galatasaray, they're the champions. Should people expect the same from the Turkish champions this time?
This is a great league, first and foremost. We know that, George. And you call some of those games, and you have that special show as well. There's some great players there. It was tight till the last game of the season, with 4 teams contending, by the way, for the #1 spot. But Galatasaray has the big man up front, Gomes, obviously. Galatasaray probably has the best coach in
Fatih Terim.
There you go, the former Turkish coach, and also a coach that was in Italy with Fiorentina and Inter. So they got all the makings of having a deep run as well. But one of the reasons why last year one of the teams, Beşiktaş, in the end faltered, because they had to make a deep run in Europe as well. I hope Galatasaray goes far, obviously, in Europe, but that means that in the league, the Super League, as we call it, the Turkish Super League, that they might struggle, and that might be an opportunity for 3 other teams to maybe enter.
Now, Galatasaray, they will be hindered a little bit because they were fined about $7 million US for UEFA fair play violations, dealing with some of the economic things they've had to go through. The club has to report a break-even deficit for 2018. But before that, there's Fenerbahce finishing second place last season. They are in the third round of qualification for the Champions League. They have to win that 2-leg affair against Benfica, and then they have to go to a playoff round. Then they get into the group stage. A lot of games for Fenerbahce to get through. Galatasaray, they have the issue of the UEFA fair play issue as well. They were fined $7 million, and that will hurt them in terms of the transfer window and acquiring new players. So we'll see how that affects Galatasaray going forward in the Champions League. All right, now before we get to the action in terms of breaking down the teams and the championship, Eric Krakauer takes a look back at an exciting season from last year.
While most European leagues were done and dusted weeks before the end of the season, the Turkish Super League went down to the wire, with a championship race decided on the final match day. Usually a 3-way battle between Galatasaray, Fenerbahce, and Beşiktaş, the Super League saw a 4th contender in Başakşehir challenge the reign of supremacy established by Istanbul's Big Three. Led by inspirational captain Emre Belözoğlu, with an attack spearheaded by veteran Emmanuel Adebayor, and with Arda Turan joining the club from Barcelona in January, Başakşehir still failed to win its first title on the last match day, despite overturning a 2-0 deficit to Kasımpaşa. Ultimately, late-season losses to Fenerbahce and Galatasaray doomed Abdullah Avci's men to 3rd place. The favorites entering the season, and with sights set on a 3rd successive crown, Beşiktaş was also looking to make a Champions League run. Manager Şenol Güneş added Pep, Gary Medel, and Alvaro Negredo to an already deep squad featuring game changers Anderson Talisca and Ricardo Quaresma. But the combination of domestic and European ambitions, combined with leading scorer Cenk Tosun's January departure, eventually took a toll on the Black Eagles, who ended up in 4th. Threatened by Beşiktaş's recent league dominance, Fenerbahce invested heavily in the new season, signing experienced attackers Roberto Soldado and Mathieu Valbuena, as well as Brazilian playmaker Giuliano. The Yellow Canaries also brought back manager Aykut Kocaman, who guided the club to a league title and 2 Turkish Cups during his first spell. Despite a furious finish to the season, which saw the club win its last 9 games, Fenerbahce was never able to overcome a slow start to the campaign, falling short of the championship. Only once did eventual champions Galatasaray relinquish its grip on the league's top 2 spots. A shock defeat to Yeni Malatyaspor spelled the end of Igor Tudor's tenure as manager and prompted the return of Fatih Terim. In his fourth stint at the club, the man known as the Emperor quickly restored Galatasaray's place at the top of the table, capturing 7 out of 9 points from their rival neighbors and riding Bafatimi Gomis's goal Crowley, or top-scoring season, to a 21st Super League title.
All right, so there you have it. Thank you very much, Eric. Okay, we saw the champions. We saw that preview, or at least the review of what happened last season. But let's take a look at the new teams from the Turkish Super League that made it from the second division to the top flight. All right, Çaykur Rizespor on the coast of the Black Sea. They won the second division last year, their 6th promotion in their history. Guess what their nickname is? Interesting. The Black Sea Sparrowhawks.
Wow.
I've never seen a sparrowhawk, but that sounds pretty intimidating. Yes.
I thought they were red.
Oh, they might be. We might be. We'll see.
And that leaf in the middle, what flower is that, you know?
I have no idea. I will say it's a coffee one.
Yeah.
It's a coffee one,
Don't pass it to the left-hand side.
Now, there will be a club from Ankara, the capital, in the top flight. After Osmanispor and Gençler Birliği were relegated, Ankara Gücü will play in the Ankara Undukuz Mayıs Stadium. They won the Turkish Football Championship back in 1949. They've also won a couple of Turkish Cups in the 70s and 80s. And the team that won the playoff is Erzurumspor. I will not ask you guys to repeat that name. We're going to have problems with that all season, I'm for sure. Erzurumspor, they won the playoff to get to the first division. Founded
What's
in
their nickname,
2005.
George?
Erzurumspor.
Something
That
Eagles.
looks like some kind of two-headed eagle.
Two eagles.
two-headed
By the
eagle.
way, the club was founded in 2005. The
Yeah.
earlier one you said was founded in 1910 or something.
Yeah.
So, recent club.
Yes,
There you
for
go.
sure. It was good to see a recent club like that make it to the first division. We'll see if they can stay up. That's going to be the key for them. All right, so let's get into some transfer talk here, because that's very important. These clubs obviously wanting to solidify their squads ahead of the season, either for European glory or, like Erzurumspor, stay in the top flight. Thomas, we'll begin with you. What transfer stood out for you so far?
Well, I think one of the biggest transfers is some of the teams that are getting better, and a team that I'm going to later pick to maybe win this thing is Ayew.
All right.
A player that played for Marseille for many years, was a proven goal scorer, got bought by West Ham, eventually goes to your favorite team in England, Gary. Come on, talk to me.
Well, maybe Manchester United.
Swansea City.
Yeah.
Where he didn't do
favorite.
well. And Gary made a good point, you know, they probably unloaded him. But for the Turkish league, and no disrespect to the Turkish league, this is a very, very good signing up front, and a player that is a proven goal scorer. If you surround himself with great players, which you will in that team, and we got Koku, by the way, as the new head coach.
Yeah.
I see Ayew as a key component.
All right, Gary, what do you think about what's the transfer that stands out for you?
Picking on Douglas Pereira, Brazilian flair, going to Sivasspor, 27 years of age, on loan from Barcelona.
Yeah.
He was there a couple of seasons ago. He's moved around a little bit. He's been to Benfica since. He's been to Sporting Gijón, but he joins another Brazilian, Robinho.
Yes.
Also,
yes.
big famous name there. So, look, I mean, Sivasspor not going to go on and win anything, we don't think. But it'll be a decent team and a hard team to beat, and one I think Galatasaray lost to during the course of the season. So not an easy team.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Sivasspor, very interesting, and Douglas could really improve his stock in European club football if he is able to do so. And then for me, I like Enzo Rocco, the Chilean defender who is going to Beşiktaş from Cruz Azul. He's a youngster, and he's a younger defender. They might need that reinforcement in the midfield, or excuse me, in that middle of that back line for Beşiktaş. So we will see what happens there. But and also, he's Chilean, so it continues a little bit of a tradition of Latin American players in the top flight. He will be joining his fellow countryman Medel at Beşiktaş. Also, you have Muslera, who's the goalkeeper for Uruguay. He's been there at Galatasaray seemingly forever.
It's been there 7 seasons.
Yeah.
Good goalkeeper. If you ignore the very last thing that happened for Uruguay, I made that mistake in the World Cup. But Gary Medel also, I mean, it's only 1 season there, but I mean, he's a good player, and we've seen him play for many clubs in Europe. I love that little man. You know,
He's hard,
tough and hard as can be, gets stuck in. Good player.
They could definitely use him in that Beşiktaş midfield. All right, time for a quick break, but when we return, we also want to remind you that on the Spanish side, we will have the Turkish Super League highlight show, so you can get all the Erzurumspor and all of the rolling of the R's on the Spanish side, bilingual, practice your Spanish as well. And then also on the other side, we will have Tancredi Palmeri as he explains the passion behind the rivalries in Istanbul. Don't go anywhere. The Turkish Super League preview show will be right back.
welcome to Istanbul. Welcome to the Riva headquarters, the brand new shining headquarters of Turkish FA. But it is not only about this. Something has been going on in the last years in Turkish football. A complete reshape of facilities, systems, stadium and the launch to organize Euro 2024 in a city that is unique in the world. A city made by two continents, Asia and Europe, a city made by three big three. Fenerbahce, Galatasaray, Beşiktaş, the three derbies, unique in the world. Ülker Stadium, but everybody knows it as the Şükrü Saracoğlu Stadium, the one of Fenerbahce. Şükrü Saracoğlu was the Prime Minister of Turkey in the 40s and the owner of Fenerbahce, like it would be the Silvio Berlusconi Stadium, but it wasn't always like this, life easy for Fenerbahce. They always had to overcome their difficulties since their birth. In fact, when the club was born, football was forbidden by the Sultan to be played by young people. So for the first years, it wasn't a football club, it was a secret society of football. And overcoming difficulties was a constant in the history of Fenerbahce. Fenerbahce Galatasaray is the only derby named in the world Intercontinental Derby. One jump. We are in Europe indeed. It's a shortcut actually in Istanbul to jump from Asia to Europe. Galatasaray Turk Telecom Stadium, the most successful club in Turkey, the club with the most fans here. When Galatasaray was founded by Ali Sami Yen, ex-Ali Sami Yen Stadium, he said, our aim is to beat the non-Turkish teams. Nothing is a coincidence. Galatasaray, the only Turkish club that won European trophies. We are not exaggerating. It is unique indeed, this football trip into Turkish football, and it is finishing with the last stage, which is most special of all, because this is the only place in the world where you can go to stadium, buy ferry boat from the fantastic Bosphorus, buy this fantastic mask in front of the new Beşiktaş Arena, the Vodafone Park. Well, you have now everything to watch. The Super League, Oyun Bashed. Just kick off and play. Tancredi Palmieri.
Thank you very much, Tancredi. Okay, 18 teams in the Turkish top flight. The team to the furthest west is Göztepe. The team furthest east is recently promoted Erzurumspor. Trabzonspor is the northernmost team, and Alanyaspor is the southernmost team. And then you have about 5 or 6 teams
Where's
in
the capital,
central
George? Where's
Anatolia. Ankaragucu, that team there representing the capital. And then 5 teams representing Istanbul, including Kasımpaşa and Istanbul Başakşehir. That's the geography. So when you hear the highlight show,
you can actually say to your family, I'm going from Europe to Asia to play a game and I'll be back later.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
that game could be literally 2 miles down
2 miles
the
the
road.
road. Yeah, that Fenerbahce Galatasaray, yeah. It's beautiful, yes. Great. Istanbul is a beautiful city, by the way. Istanbul. Tancredi is so lucky that he gets to travel all those places. All right, now, a team that plays in Istanbul is Galatasaray. They're the reigning champions. What do they have to do to stay at the top? Gary, we start with you. What do Galatasaray have to do?
They've got to get somebody else to score their goals, because right now they've got Bafétembi Gomez scoring 28 goals. The next goal scorer after him is Gary Rodriguez with 9. If anything happens to Gomez, how do you replace 19 goals? Because looking through some of the others, Belhanda's only got 3, Faguri's got 6. They've got this young kid, Yonkara, 21, who's on loan from Everton. But if you're relying on one guy, and that guy in that picture there gets an injury or is ill or something, you don't have anybody else to replace him, you could be in big trouble. Just quickly, the second thing is when you're the champions, it's always harder to hold on to that title. Right. You know, as a coach, you've been a champion. And everyone's after you that following season. So for Galatasaray, for me, 2 big threats for them to hold on to this title.
And if he goes down, that could really kill their Champions League campaign as well. So they have to make sure they get someone else to help out with the goal scoring. All right, Thomas, what about you? What about for Galatasaray? What do they need to do to
going back
on?
to Gary, he's absolutely right. The pressure is on. Gary's been there with Man United. Defending your title is not easy, Gary Bailey, and I've done that as a coach with DC United as well. Everybody's gunning for you after you win the big title. But I think they've got a coach in Fatih Terim, obviously one of the more experienced coaches that's been there and done that with the Turkish national team, with Inter in Serie A as as well. He's been back and forth with his first love, which this club is obviously starting in 2002. Go with the Turkish national team. He's been to a World Cup. He's been in big games. And he knows how to manage this team going forward. Should be tough, but they still are in the driver's seat and are obviously a contender.
Yeah, for sure. And remember what he did last season for Galatasaray, turning them around to help them win the title, their 21st Turkish Super League title. So he will be very important for sure. We'll see what happens. And of course, that Galatasaray-Fenerbahce matchup will always be a league decider for next season. All right, beginning with Thomas, you have Trabzonspor. What about them?
Absolutely. They're sleeper, George. Just outside, came in 5th, way behind number 1. Have underperformed to a certain extent, but this is still a team that won 6 titles. Now, they haven't won in 34 years. Yeah. But with Karaman, their manager, my favorite manager in Turkey, you know that, George, obviously. Anything can happen for this team, Gary Bailey. And obviously, they got Yilmaz, scored 23 goals for you. Yazi at 10 goals as well. And the key this year, I think, for this team is they are better defensively because their plus-minus is only 17 compared to the winner that was 45 as well. Yeah. So they got to be able to score more goals, but their main problem last year was that they could not keep people off scoring. So there was no zeros for this team there. And the Toure, the player from Lorient in France, came in, and he's going to solidify the holding midfielder, that midfield a little bit, and allow him to be more balanced, and for them to get a chance in the top 4 and finally get back into Europe, because that's what they want to do. So that's my sleeper team, Georgie.
All right, aside from the Black Sea there, Trabzonspor. Gary, you like aside from Izmir and Göztepe what they can do to break into the top 4.
Well, I'll tell you why, because they came up last season, and for a team that comes up into the league and finishes 6th, that's a fantastic achievement.
Yeah,
that's brilliant. So you think, okay, you've settled in, now can you go the next step and get to the top 4? On top of that, they lost Adish Jahovic during the middle of the season. Good player.
Yep.
Now, they lost him, and they still managed to finish 6th, which is amazing. They only scored 49 goals, which is the same as a 3rd bottom team.
Right.
So defensively, they're strong. They've got Beto in goal, the Portuguese guy, who is voted as the best goalkeeper along with Muslera in the league. So defensively, they're strong. If they can just get somebody else to bang in a few goals, they can definitely step up into that top 4. They've got a new player, Dennis Kadar, who scored 9 goals last season, 32 years of age.
You want Yilmaz? I'll take your goalkeeper. I'll give you Yilmaz.
You would trade Yilmaz for Beto?
I need my goalkeeper.
Trading Yilmaz
keep
for
a
Beto.
clean sheet, But that's the importance of having a tight defence. Gilas up front's only got 6 goals. Gouffran used to play in France. Very, very good player. He pulls the midfield string. But I just feel that now they've settled in, 1 season to settle in, get an extra goal scorer in, and suddenly you can go up. They're not going to win the league. I don't think there's any chance of doing that. But they can certainly get into the top 4 because, Thomas, they play as a team. They don't have Turkey's a lot about big name players and focusing on them. This is about a team game. But we've had our favourites. What's your favourite?
I like Sivasspor.
Really?
Now you know I'm a big Brazil fan, right? And they have Robinho. They just got Douglas on loan from Barcelona. So they have a couple of good players there. They also have Hakan Arslan, Aruna Kone, who was their leading goal scorer last year from the Côte d'Ivoire. He's a good player. I like Sivasspor. I like what they can do. I think they could be a problem and get into that top 4. So that's my
you take Yilmaz. Would you trade Yilmaz? Would you take Yilmaz of my team?
For who?
Trabzonspor is my team.
Yeah.
I'll take one of your Brazilians. Give me any of the 2 Brazilians I'll take.
Okay, well, I'll trade you. I'll take Yilmaz. You take Douglas. Okay. I like a goal scorer.
What is this, FIFA 2018?
I know, right?
Give me Yilmaz.
We just made the trade right there. There you go. We have Sivasspor now has Burak Yilmaz. That's breaking news. And we didn't need the transfer tracker for that. There you go. All right. Well, now we talked about some of the players here that could help teams break into the top 4. But let's talk about some 3 players to follow in the league that could be very, very important, that could make a lot of noise. Gary, let's start with you. There's a goal scorer for Kasımpaşa who had a great second half of the season.
Yeah, Mbaye Diagne, fantastic player, absolutely brilliant. He joined in the winter break, and from the time he joined, he scored 12 goals in 17 starts. Now, he was a Juventus player for a while. They kept an eye on him. He's also been around a lot. This is something special about this player. He's picked up a lot of knowledge because in the last 5 years, he's played in China, Hungary, Belgium, Saudi Arabia, and France. How many players is that they have managed, or how many countries is that he's managed to get experience from? So I think he brings a lot to the party here, and I'm excited to see this guy have a full season with Kasımpaşa.
Yeah, Emre Akbaba is another player that that we like there from Alanya Sport, 56 career goals. He's a playmaker for the Southern team there, and he's someone that'll be very important for Alanya Sport. Helped them avoid relegation last season. This season, maybe he can help them make a run into Europa League as well. We'll see. Emre, I like to say, Emre, who's your baba? Emre Akbaba. That's maybe my favorite player's name to say in all of the Turkish Super League. And then this guy here, Adis Yahovic, who was helping Göztepe, got transferred to Konyaspor to help them avoid relegation, and now is a big-time player for Konyaspor. Teamed up with Samuel Eto'o. Look out for him. Maybe he can get to that 20-goal mark and maybe be a surprise player for the Gol Krali as well. We will see what happens there. But Adis Yahovic certainly is a player that can put in a lot of goals for Konyaspor. All right, it's time for a quick break, but when we return, we're going to get our predictions on the champion, the Gol Krali, and so much more coming up on the Turkish Super League preview show here on beIN Sports. All right, welcome back to the Turkish Super League preview show. All right, let's get right into it, gentlemen. Thomas, who do you predict will win the league?
Fenerbahce.
All right.
Reason being is because they have the best coach in the Turkish league right now. Philip Koku was signed by this team right now.
Only because he's Dutch.
And we got Giuliano front, Soldado, we got Isla, we got Skirtle in the back. Thanks for coming.
All right, Fenerbahce. What about you, Gary? Who do you think?
I've gone Besiktas.
Besiktas.
They've got no European games. And listen to some of the players they've got. They've got Negredo, Wagner Love, Ryan Babel, another Dutchman. There you go.
Yeah.
Adriano. And from Orlando City, Kyle Larin.
Yes.
There you go.
Youngster. Okay, Besiktas. I picked Fenerbahce as well. I like how they finished the season, and Matthew Valbuena is quite a playmaker, so I got Fenerbahce. Okay. What are the production? Production says Galatasaray is going to
playing
win.
it safe. What do the fans say?
The fans say Galatasaray as well, playing it safe. All right. Who will be the Gol Krali, the leading goal scorer, Thomas?
We didn't even mention about that, but, you know, I talked about Soldado, I talked about Grant, but we signed also Koku, Philip Koku, and I signed Ayew.
Ayew.
Your boy.
All right, so Andre Ayew will be the leading goal scorer.
Yeah, 24 goals.
All right, Gary, what do you think?
He doesn't know the league. There's players. Players going to come in, Ayew. He won't know the league. Here's a guy who knows the league, Burak Yilmaz.
Yes.
23 goals in 25 appearances, knows his stuff. And I reckon at Trabzonspor, he's going to be the top goal.
I got Bafetembi Gomis as well. Production, who they got? Gomis, and the fans chose Gomis, the three-peat right there.
Playing it safe again, George.
Right. Burak Yilmaz is a former Gol Krali, by the way. We'd like to remind you the first match of the Turkish Super League, August 10th, between Ankaragucu and Galatasaray. And then the first Turkish Super League highlight show will be on Tuesday, August 14th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Pacific. I'm George Metellus for Thomas Rongen. Gary Bailey, thank you for watching this presentation of the Turkish Super League preview show here on beIN Sports.